If you're interested in video or photo production, here are some things to know not to fail in the first, year of trying. My name is Yuri Markarov. I am a media producer. I've been doing photography and video production for the most part for the last, 15 plus years, basically since graduating university with 2 degrees, one in radio and television and a master's in media production. Shortly after that, I got a job working as a video producer and photographer at a hospital in downtown Toronto, which is called St. Michael's Hospital, which eventually became part of Unity Health Toronto. A month ago or so, I was let go from my role after 14 plus years of being there. It hurt. It was a very humbling and different experience. I've been working basically nonstop, freelancing, working full-time, and doing all kinds of stuff since I graduated university. Even during university, I worked. Before, in high school, I had some bullshit jobs here and there, but I've worked nonstop for the last 15 years, 16 years, basically since my early 20s. And now I am on severance. I no longer work. All I do is experiment with different videos, with social media, with documentary filmmaking which I have experience with, but I've never done before on my own. So now I'm doing all these things on my own. Learning how to, take care of myself, how to work out better, how to treat my body better, all that stuff that I wasn't really paying much attention to before I was unemployed. So now I have time. I even have some funding, which is the severance, to do these things, to experiment, which is kind of lucky because I wouldn't be able to do any of this sort of stuff if I wasn't on severance, if I didn't get laid off. So I'm trying to take this as an opportunity, as hard as that is, especially after 14 years. It's like a bad breakup when you just get ghosted and told that you're no longer necessary, especially when you thought you were doing well, especially when when you've gotten so much praise and kudos and opportunities at work to do all kinds of things. You never thought this would happen, but it can happen to anyone, as they say, as anyone says. It really can happen to anyone, and it's scary and it's different. And the first couple of weeks after getting laid off were horrifying. I was in a state of shock and depression and anxiety I've never experienced before. I have a family. I have a wife and 2 young children, an 8-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter. I've never been in this kind of uncertainty. I've had the career, I've had this job long before I've had this family. I thought I would retire at this place, and then all of a sudden the rug got pulled under my feet, and here we are making videos of myself talking on camera. So I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm going to be talking about. I guess the first video is just going to be me talking about random things that have happened to me in the last month or so that have led me to this place, and trying to kind of tell everyone that I'm not blaming anyone. This isn't anyone's fault, I don't think. I am not holding any grudges. I am not upset with myself even for the things that I could potentially have done better to be in a better position now. Because honestly, these things are unpredictable and things can happen, and I may have been better off doing something. I kind of realize what to do if something like this happens again. I am learning a lot. I am trying to listen to a lot of other creative people, marketing people. I'm trying to self-improve a lot as I'm going through this journey of figuring out what to do next and where to go from here. I guess let's go through what I used to do at the hospital. I used to shoot all kinds of things, surgeries. I used to make patient videos, continuing medical education stuff. I used to do portraits, boring videos of people talking and going through PowerPoint decks. Anything that was interesting and not so interesting, I would create and help other people kind of thrive through media production. Professional media production. I have, a lot of education, a lot of experience in this field, and now I'm kind of doing something completely new, which is just kind of talking to camera about what I know, so that we can kind of, I don't know, to help people, as they say. I keep saying as they say. I should stop saying that. I kind of want to express some of my experience, tell people what to do, what not to do, perhaps. I have a list of things that I kind of wrote down here. The title idea of what mistakes I have done in the last 15 plus years in photography and video. That should be the hook. Like, damn, I gotta click on that. Okay, so first I gotta make a thumbnail, kind of like this. It can happen to you. Maybe this is a better thumbnail. I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. It's like you're talking to a friend. Apparently I have to be making this like I'm talking to a friend. So hello, friend. Hi, friend. Hello, friends. How are you? Consistency, production value, first iPhone, and good audio is totally fine. But you know what? Why not use what I've got? I don't want to use my iPhone for this. I want to use what I've got. So why not? It's actually easier to just record this the way it is. I'm recording directly into OBS so that it's a file on my computer immediately. I don't even have to take the card out of the camera to be able to do this. OBS is software that you can use. It's what people use for like streaming and doing multiple screens at the same time. So you can do like video games or teaching people how to do random stuff. I use it for all kinds of things. It's very cool. If you're starting to think about being a photographer or video producer or both, here are some hard truths I would like to tell you before you begin. I've done a lot of different kind of media production. I have a documentary called A Dark Room on Amazon Video, Prime Video, and I directed photography and edited the whole thing back in 2016. Took years to make with a bunch of awesome people. And proud to say it's one of my best things out there because it's the most public. The rest of the stuff I made was internal in-house stuff for the hospital. So a lot of patient stuff, a lot of stories, HR recruitment videos, a thing called Behind the Mask where we did videos, short videos, basically GIFs and photo essays of different people in the hospital and what they, had to go through during COVID. Many, many other projects, lots of photography things, portraits, events, patients. I can't even list everything because there's so much that I've done. When I was young, I made a ton of mistakes. I used to prioritize gear and quality over anything else. And I still love gear and I still love quality. But it's not very necessary for everything. If you know how to make a good story, you can use an iPhone. You can have the camera on your iPhone do most of the shooting. You can clean up sound in post, and that's okay. It's better to have everything done well ahead of time, but if you have a subscription or have a friend with a subscription to Adobe Enhance, use the web version, by the way, which is much better. Use that to clean up your audio. It's going to sound way better. I have a $20 crappy microphone from Temu, which I used for a short documentary I'm working on jiu-jitsu, and I cleaned it. I sounded like shit, absolute shit, but I cleaned it up and it sounds much better. So you can use crappy audio. You don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on proper equipment. I mean, I do as a professional because I was trained that way, and I'm going to get a better microphone. Because it just makes my workflow a lot faster. But you don't need to start with the best gear possible. You can start with literally what you have in your pocket right now, your phone. So buying gear instead of skills. So again, don't rely on gear to save your ass. Rely on experience and practice. Do as much as possible. Like you think, this is the first time I'm doing one of these. The first time ever. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea what to talk about. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. I probably won't even be watched by anyone, but at least it's a starting point. It's experimentation. It's talking during a day when I'm just sitting home alone waiting to pick up my kids in half an hour. it's something. It's better than nothing. And yeah, sure, I have good gear. It looks nice. I have a light. I have a decent camera, a microphone. I'm recording into my nice computer. But, at the same time, none of this really matters. Someone with an iPhone can do a much better job if they present their story well. So let's just go from there. I even trimmed my head and did a bit of a shave before this. So excuse the chest hair and the graying beard, but whatever. Right, not prepping enough. That's a good one. So I've had many times when I didn't check before going. I prep. I usually prep, but sometimes there's a lot. As a single producer, as one person doing kind of everything, video, sound, lighting, editing, thinking about the questions you need to ask if you're doing an interview, thinking about framing and lighting and noise and all these things, because a long time ago when I started, there was no such thing as cleaning the sound up. It was like the room you're shooting in is going to be the sound you're going to get. So if the room is noisy, it has some bullshit AC unit that keeps turning on and off, you're going to get that throughout the whole shoot. And if you have a client there with you, they're going to ask you every time the thing goes on, they're going to interrupt the interview and say, is that going to be a problem? Is that going to be up? And you're going to be like, maybe, I don't know. Like, what the fuck do you want me to do? We're shooting. You want us to move to a whole new area? Every room in this goddamn building is like this. So we're going to go for what we're going to go for. But these days, you have a lot more tech. You have a lot more software to help you get through this stuff. You can fix it in post a lot easier than you could before, although I still preach to not rely on post. But I've had many times when I wouldn't, bring the right battery. I wouldn't know the location well enough. And I'm not saying do these things ahead of time and get them down to the perfect condition, because nothing is controllable 100%. Nothing is ever. So you need to be adaptable. Number one, you need to be able to, even if you don't have enough batteries, you must. One time I remember doing, for example, I had a shoot with a guy at a place. It was for continual medical education. It was a physician who had a PowerPoint deck that he was going through, and he just needed to present for like 20 minutes. Luckily, he was a pro. He has done this presentation many times. And I saw, when I set everything up and I turned on the camera, that there were about 20 minutes of, 20 minutes of production of battery life on that battery. So I started sweating. That's the first thing usually that happens to me, sweating like a pig. I think I have hyperhidrosis. Anyway, that turned into not telling anyone that I had this problem, because we had to roll, and the client was there and the doctor was there, and I had to roll, and it was outside of my studio, outside of my equipment stuff, far away from all of that. So I let it roll. The way it turned out, I realized that I only have 25 minutes of video, so I turned off as many things on the camera as I could, like the viewfinder and the screen as well. So I just kind of shot only on sound. So I was listening to the whole thing as I was recording and turning on the viewfinder once in a while to see, you lock focus, you make sure your sound is good, it doesn't peak, and you make sure the framing is good by turning it on eventually, and trying to preserve as much battery life as I could. So I had about 3 minutes or less to spare at the end of that shoot, but luckily got it in the can, didn't screw up too much. So that's one example of, being prepared, checking your gear ahead of time, checking your batteries, checking your lenses, checking your tripods are fine. Are they smooth? Do you have the tripod mounting plate to go onto the bottom of the camera? Do you have everything you need for the shoot? Did you bring your lights? Did you bring all the connections for your lights to plug them in to make sure they're working? If you don't need lights, is the room going to be well lit? Is there going to be a mix of lighting? Is it going to look weird on camera? Possibly. All these things are a possibility. So try to maybe make a quick list of everything that could go wrong and have a solution for it on the day of. And eventually, with enough of these shoots and enough of these things, you're going to get to a point where you're just going to be a problem solver on the day, on the spot. And that's kind of the best place to be. Let's go move on to the next thing. Taking on bad clients because I was desperate. I had a recent example of that where I took on a client I knew would not be able to pay me. And I even brought it up during our first conversations because he's a friend. And I'm not gonna name any names. There's a friend who's starting out a new business. And I kind of know that, new businesses are potentially a failure. And I usually work with established clients, with people who are, have been doing it for a long time. And I've never not gotten paid until this one time, this first time ever, where I sent how much it's going to cost. I asked on the day of shooting if payment is going to be a problem, to which the reply was, no, I pay all my friends and anyone. And I said, okay. So the day came, I shot the thing, I edited the thing, I sent the thing, I sent an invoice, and he said, yeah, I'll send it to billing. And, a month goes by, 2 months, 3, and so I send an email, hey, bud, and this was already like, I got laid off, so I'm like, okay, I gotta collect because I'm laid off, I'm on severance, I can't do any freelancing because freelancing won't be enough to justify losing half my severance, at least not at this point, because I would always freelance just enough, not much, because I didn't need to freelance. I would just do it based on word of mouth and hear this and that, but never, actively promoting myself to freelance because I didn't need to. I had a full-time job, which was hard enough. I have a family. I'd freelance whenever I could. But now I'm in a position where, I can't really freelance because that would mean half my severance would be gone. And so instead I am, now chasing this guy. I'm asking, hey buddy, what's going on? I recently got let go. Please tell me how this project is going so maybe I can get paid for the part that I did for it. And he called and told me that, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Maybe there's a position at our company for you, and we'll see if I can get you paid. We're just dealing with some financial cash flow, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that's been another month and a half of that, so I haven't gotten paid still, And I might just leave it to, fine, he's a friend, he's when you have someone that owes you money, you can leave it at, okay, so that's how much it cost to never see that person again, I guess, to never hear from them. So the next time I hear from him, I would like to hear, hey buddy, I got that money for you. Oh, let's continue doing business if we can. I'm so sorry about the wait. We just had to sort some things out. But it hasn't been any of that. I'm pretty sure he's burning that bridge with me. And that's fine. That's the first time that's happened to me. And it sucks. But if you're that desperate and it sucks that much, then, don't. So what I'm saying is don't work with friends and family. What I'm telling you is that only work with established, creditable people. Don't do startups too much unless you want to just expand your portfolio and do something different or help a friend out, which is how I'm seeing it. I helped a friend out. I don't really want to be friends with this guy anymore, to be honest, but just try not to work with friends and family. It might not work out in your favor financially. Overcomplicating shoots. Oh yes, that's a big one. So I have an example for that as well. Sometimes you think that you need to hire a whole crew and do something extremely, and sometimes it works in your favor. So I have both examples of it working in my favor and not so much. Once I remember hiring an entire crew. We had a big budget for this production, and I hired not huge, not like commercial level big, but big enough for videographers with nice gear to come in and do a bunch of nice stuff. And it was nice having that crew there, and they brought nice lenses, and they had beautiful cameras, beautiful lights. It just looked beautiful. So it was nice for my portfolio and for the production value of the whole thing. But it wasn't necessary, to be honest. It was like a masterclass type of thing that I wanted to make look nice. In the end, I hope it worked out well for the client, but it wasn't necessary, I don't think. It looked good, But it could have done the same thing with much more basic gear. We had like movement during class because it was, didactic, learning stuff, So I thought maybe some movement would make it a little more interesting, but whatever. Honestly, it's just the conversation is much more interesting. I would rather make it, a straight up shot with the examples of whatever's happening on camera, on screen. But it was like a little too complicated unnecessarily. So I'm realizing that this microphone's more in focus than me. So I'm just going to bring it here, I guess, closer to my face. And, so that wasn't necessary. But at the same time, it was necessary when I had a shoot in, international shoot. It was for a pharma company and a doctor, or a few doctors, who were talking about a new product, a new pharmaceutical that was coming out. And I didn't want to bring a bunch of gear with me because, first of all, that it's a hassle to fly with gear, and you get pulled over and stopped by TSA and whoever else. This was in Europe, in Paris, I remember, in Berlin. And I remember just coming with my basic like laptop, one camera, one microphone, just in case. Not even a tripod, not even like lighting or anything. Just like the basics in case the production company would bail on me. But I remember also hiring somebody there to come. And they did. And they came with everything that I would normally bring. And they set everything up and they shot everything for me. So I was the director now on the scene. And that was fantastic. That was one guy with everything. It was like a me who did everything for me over there in Berlin. And this guy spoke perfect English, and he was excellent at what he did. He knew exactly what to do. I just told him, let's set it up like this. Let's get some backlighting going. Let's get some front, a nice production. And that's what he did. And he created an incredible video. I just took the card from him after and imported it to my hard drive, my laptop. So I had a couple of backups, told him to keep it for a little while just in case. I edited the whole thing on the plane ride back, got paid instantly. It was a perfect project. It was excellent. So in that case, overthinking a little bit did help, and overcomplicating it during previous example where I had to shoot that masterclass didn't really help. It just made things more way too complicated. I had to direct the whole thing, and I was like nervous the whole time, and it was a bit much, to be honest. So cold coffee. Neglecting storytelling for pretty shots. Yeah, that's a big one. I have made some promos where, you're just showing a product instead of telling a story about the product. So I've shot many things with a local celebrity in Toronto. His name is Mike Holmes. And these weren't my projects. They were his projects. I would just show up and, shoot from a script. They would shoot the script. They would ask questions. They would talk to he would talk to someone who would bring in the product. So it was like a Bosch boiler or air conditioner or something like that, home improvement stuff. And they would talk and they would have a conversation. I would shoot that conversation with 2 cameras. I didn't overcomplicate it. I came alone. I brought a couple of lights, a couple of cameras. I would shoot, like one wide shot and then a moving shot so that you get whoever's talking, you get a close up of them. And then I would mix it together, color grade it so it looks nice, mix the sound properly, make it smooth, and then break it into chapters and whatever else, add some B-roll, add some graphics, and Bob's your uncle. But where was I going with this? Right, pretty shots. But other examples where you have like a product, and instead of sort of doing a story where you talk about the product, or even asking people what they think about the product, I would just shoot nice, images of the thing, and then I would edit the reel into a short, like 1 minute, 2 minute promo of the thing, of the event that the thing was a part of. The thing would be, for instance, it's called easy blocks. They're sort of like these blocks that you can combine into kind of any shape, structure, or anything really. And they're pretty popular here for like impromptu patios or events where you can have seating or a wall, or they're very, very versatile kind of building thing that you can put together quickly and fairly easily. And they're renting them out to a bunch of businesses, and they're creating a bunch of content about how to, use it and stuff. And So I've done that. I've recorded, and these things are, just kind of like it's like taking photos and combining them to make like a pretty, oh, look at this product thingy. But what I'm realizing now is that it would have been much better if I did like some kind of story about it, like even a news story or some kind of thing where I would talk about, or someone would talk about the product and we would show different things that they were talking about, and not like in a boring commercial where you just like, here we have a thing that puts together quite easily and you can use it for this. No, more like, the owner was really into Lego, and he thought maybe it's time to put that in the real world as a real example, and here it is. Look at all these cool things you can do with it. It's pretty amazing. That sort of thing. I'm thinking more like a storyteller, more and less like a photographer and just a pretty visuals guy. And that's, I think, is way more important than anything else, really, when it comes to media production. The storytelling that connects, that resonates, that is more human. That's, like the glossy stuff is always nice, and I've always loved it. And, a car commercial is always going to be beautiful, or a beautiful movie is going to be beautiful with beautiful imagery, beautiful photography, and cinematography. But the story is what's going to keep you and what you're going to remember the most. Yeah, I still think about beautiful photos and shots, but that's my own personal love. But for most people, it's the story. It's remembering an interesting tale that they've heard, that they took something from, that made them laugh or think or cry or whatever, So story is king or queen. Yeah, gear, titles, gigs, all that comes and goes. People remember how you made them feel is, I think, the most powerful thing. I remember editing the documentary and really paying attention to the moments where the edit would make you feel something through music, through sound, through something that somebody said, instead of, remembering the shots that I did for it. I remember the story itself, the pacing, the silence, the elements in the edit that would make the story more memorable. That's the key takeaway, is that the story is what matters most. Is your story good? Is it interesting? Even if it's not the best thing in the world, can you tell it in a good way that will make people listen to you? I don't know. I don't know if I can, to be honest. I'm still learning. It's people, try to be humble and say they're always learning, they're always trying to do new things, and that's great. But I feel like I'm starting to realize that more and more, is that story is key, and getting the best of the story is very important. And keep trying, doing it, and good luck with it. And now I got to go get my kids because it's time. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope we'll do this again. We'll see. I hope so. Take care, everybody.